You could get hurt doing that.
I'd do it, Hannah.
You would do it, Dan?
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. All right, moving on. Despite a 7-2 start in Philly, A.J. Brown called that Eagles offense a bleep show this week. Here's a look at his numbers. He's averaging career lows in catch percentage and yards per reception. This despite receiving nearly a quarter of the Eagles' targets, his third highest rate through 10 weeks of a season. Let's go to the masters of the touchscreen.
Well, listen, A.J. Brown said, hey, you should drop me if you have me in fantasy. Well, maybe not this week, at least if Kevin Patullo and Jalen Hurts know how they want to attack this Detroit Lions defense.
And when you're going against Detroit defensively, if you're Philly offensively, I would say advantage Philly. Philly wants to play old school one-on-one football on the outside. Detroit defensively wants to play old school one-on-one football on the outside.
And the first thing we should do also, Dan, let's highlight both of these corners, Terrion Arnold and also Amik Robertson. We should have a physical advantage with A.J. Brown on the outside.
Just by his size and paying attention up top. This is just one-on-one. Max protection, ball fake. I'm just trying to take advantage of vertical speed with my receiver against that corner.
Yep. And no disrespect, this is Robbie Chosen, not A.J. Brown. Here, we're going to run it back. When you watch the way Amik Robertson opens in this, you know you're getting cover 3.
Yeah.
So he's expecting that he's going to have underneath help. And the one thing about Robbie Chosen is he does have vertical speed. So if you're in cover 3, we're in zone, we want to get this linebacker underneath the deep out. And when he doesn't get there, that's advantage offense.
And Philly's going to line up and say, A.J. Brown, win on these one-on-one routes. We've talked about it often with a stop route, an out route, and a corner route. And now you go to the earlier in the season against the Denver Broncos, who, again, want to line up and play one-on-one. There's A.J. Brown by himself in that deep stop route. I want everyone to understand how difficult it is to handle.
If you watch that game against the Washington Commanders, red zone, rub routes, meshes, crossers, we saw the exact same thing from the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a big week for A.J. Brown, and just maybe fantasy owners, you pick him up late.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, that was fantastic. Yeah, back it up. There you go. Hey, looking at the game picks.
Good job, Hannah.
Good job, Hannah. Way to be a teammate.
I like everything Dan Campbell did last week. I think this team is built to win in Philly. They can attack that secondary. Mina, I'm not that far off, Mina, right?
No, I mean, I think it's going to be really close. So I'm with you. I mean, first of all, appreciate you. Want to say that. But yeah, I think this is close. For me, this is just what I saw from the Eagles defense last week. I can't get out of my head how good that front looked.
All right, but what about the back end? That's what I'm saying. We'll see. Lions tight end Sam Laporta is listed as out for Sunday night against the Eagles due to his back injury. Only the second missed game of Laporta's career. And let's get into that monster matchup. And we saw last week Dan Campbell taking over play calling duties for the first time in 4 years. And the Lions absolutely dominated the Commanders. His points of emphasis were really clear. Detroit set season highs in play action usage and motion at the snap, leading to season highs in yards after the catch and yards per rush. I mean, it was so interesting. It was just exactly down the middle, by the way, with pass plays and rushing plays. How can the Lions now try to exploit that Philly defense?
Yeah, so it's always hard to know how much to read into Commanders games, candidly, because of their defense. But they did something.
Sad
it's
to
just
say.
true, right? But they did something in that game that I actually think would be effective against this Eagles defense, and they leaned really into 3 wide receiver sets, especially, by the way, with the Laporta news, of course, right? But they were in 11 personnel, 3 receivers on the field, 67% of the time or something like that against the Commanders. And y'all know why you got to do that against Philadelphia. It's so you force them to put their third cornerback on the field. And if DeJean stays in the slot and it's Dory Jackson outside, I want to see both Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown lined up wide, like they were actually a decent amount in this Washington game, so that you can attack the third corner. It's the right way to go after Philly. I was surprised, we didn't see that much from Green Bay. And I think it's something that Detroit can lean into. Now, I do think another thing they did in this game, the jumbo personnel with the 6 offensive linemen could be effective on the ground. You can play action off of that. But for me, this could be another 3 wide receiver game, purely, Ryan, so you can hunt that matchup.
Yeah, and I think back to a conversation you and I were having in the car going to the stadium in Dallas, Mina, about the way the Vikings were able to heat up Jared Goff and keep Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield on those third downs or those obvious passing situations. Vic Fangio, that's not the way he calls defense. Vic Fangio isn't a guy that likes to lean on pressure. He loves to give his opportunities to the guys on the back end so they can have vision to break. So I want to know, how are you going to pressure Jared Goff? Because I agree with Mina, you have a deficiency at the third wide receiver, and no teams has the type of mesh routes and deep crossers and play action passes that out leverage you or find ways to stem and get inside your leverage like the Detroit Lions. And we saw that against the Washington Commanders. So if you're Vic Fangio, are you going to break tendency in some way in order to get pressure up the middle on Jared Goff? Or are you going to allow him the time to eat you up in the way that we've seen him do so many times, especially knowing where the matchup is?
It's the best defensive line the Lions have faced all season. And this is a Lions offensive line that's been at moments very good and at moments not necessarily what it was in the past. I think the thing that stood out to me on Monday Night Football was Jalen Phillips was so great in the run. And then that allowed some other opportunities for pass rushers, Jalix Hunt, Ojomo. I thought it was Jalen Carter's best game of the season. And so for a Lions football team, that new play caller, Dan Campbell, all that stuff, they like to be the bully, right? The Lions have become that team that just wants to punch you in the mouth. This is the best defensive line they played this year. We're going to know how legit this Lions team is. The past 2 years, it's been legit. We'll truly know where this team, at least offensively, stacks up in this conference after this game. Because if they can handle this line,
Dan, is that more about the run for you? Because I feel like the run carries this team and carries this offense. When Jahmyr and Demo don't get going in some way, it truly hampers what they do offensively. So are you saying more so the front facing the run of the Lions?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. In both aspects, though, because Detroit's a both aspects offense, right? They're a balanced offense. If they can't handle this team in the run, obviously massive advantage Philly. But we don't really know how good this Lions team is because some of the injuries that they've had, we're going to know how legit this offense is after this weekend.
Yeah, and that O-line has allowed the 6th lowest pressure rate this season. But as you said, this is the ultimate litmus test for
not his own situation. Eagles host the Lions Sunday in a key matchup of the NFC playoff impact. Today, head coach Nick Sirianni was asked about facing the Lions and head coach Dan Campbell. Take a listen. It's new on SportsCenter.
I've got a lot of respect for how he runs his program and the respect that I can see that his guys have for him and the way they play physical, the way they play tough, the way they play with effort, the way they play with fundamentals. You know, I've seen a lot of similar things that are happening in their program that happen here in our program. So a lot of respect for him.
All right, we begin our Football Friday with NFL analyst Mina Kimes and our senior NFL writer Jeremy Fowler. Mina, I'll start with you. The Eagles played conservative in Monday night's win to beat the Packers. 10 points was their fewest in a win in 18 years. How should the Eagles' game plan look with the Lions coming to Philly on Sunday night?
Well, I think first and foremost, they have to be prepared for the Lions defensive coordinator, Kelvin Shepard, who has been absolutely masterful this season in coming up with game plans to change some of their tendencies. This is a Lions defense that normally plays a ton of man coverage. I don't think they're going to do that against Philadelphia because